Hello, my name is Cody Schroeder. I just want to talk to you guys about the real life issues in politics right now. I know a lot of people are all up in arms about everything, but there are only really a few things that really actually 100% matter. First of all, I'm a truck driver. I've been a banker, I've been a janitor, I've been a salesman. I even worked as a BHPP for the medical industry for a little bit. That's a behavioral health paraprofessional, in case you didn't know. Anyway, I'm just an average, ordinary man just trying to make a living. So I'm not a political commentator. I'm not famous. I'm not running for an election. I just wanted to talk about three really big issues right now in the political scape that I see people gloss over or take a swing at without really understanding the full scope of the consequences that they're asking for. Gun control being one of them. First of all, gun control is a misnomer. They're not trying to control guns, they're trying to control you. The Second Amendment guarantees an uninfringed right for people to act as a militia and be able to defend themselves. All the 10 amendments to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, were all put in place to check the power of the federal government. First of which being our own freedom of speech. Second being our way to protect ourselves from the government and from those around us when the government can't be there to help us. Now let's look at the response time of a police officer. Even if they get to your house as fast as they possibly can, and that's 10 minutes, right? About the same time it takes the pizza delivery boy to get there. Say someone's breaking into your house and they got inside of your house and they're threatening you and your family. You hear the door get broken into, you hear a window break when they come crawling in. Are you going to grab the phone and wait for the police and lock yourself in the bedroom and hope to God that everything's okay? Or are you going to want a gun on your side so that way the police don't come down there with guns to write up the report and maybe draw a chalk outline? At least if you have the gun in your hands, you decide who the chalk outline is. It's not just a matter of pulling out your gun in every instance. Say somebody was fumbling around with the door, you left the door open, they walked in, you came around the corner, you're like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh my God, wrong apartment. You're like, no big deal, let them go. And say somebody came right up behind you and they pulled a gun. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pull a gun in that situation. You comply until you can get away and hope that you live. Let's say somebody is driving recklessly on the street, cuts you off, you both pull over. There's no damage to anyone's car, but they get out and they pull a baseball bat out of their car and they're coming after you. Gonna want my gun in that situation. Not necessarily to shoot the guy, but at least to deter him from doing violence to me. Now, if you look at it, from the standpoint of guns limiting the federal government's power, what that really is saying is that we have been given and empowered our own freedom. That means that we have a responsibility to protect ourselves, not only from dangerous people around us, but also from our government. And to protect ourselves in protecting the rest of our liberties, from double jeopardy to the right by trial by lawyer. If the government steps out of line, we are there to remind them who's boss. Now, if you take one part of the Constitution, where does it end? I mean, which rights won't they take away? If they're all right with taking away one of them, they're all right with taking away all of them. And anybody who says that gun control isn't about taking away your guns is lying to you. Either that or they're incredibly naive. It's all a 0 to 100 here. You either have it all or you have nothing. The more control, the more limits, the more steps we take, we're just taking away guns from law-abiding citizens. Guns can still be purchased in other countries and brought into this country. Just like drugs. Guns can still be manufactured by people who know how to make them, which is surprisingly a lot of people. Because I know of quite a few gunsmiths, and even swordsmiths that have made a couple of guns. Blacksmiths, I guess, have very talented fingers. But anyone who says that outlawing guns is going to get rid of them isn't looking at the drug war problem, because methamphetamines and weed and heroin have all been outlawed for a very long time, and I know at least every major city you can find them in. So it's not really going to help as far as outlawing them. It's not like we're Australia, where nobody can really get in unless we let them in. People are apparently crawling over all the time with illegal immigration. And that's not even one of the big 3 things I'm talking about today. See, all the limits that you're setting upon the American citizens, you're only putting on law-abiding citizens. The people who are involved in these mass shootouts, these mass murders, they're breaking considerable amounts of laws. I mean, for heaven's sakes, the Newtown, Connecticut shooter, not counting all the different murders in that case, which is what, 26? He already broke 57 laws before you even add murder in there. So that is a hell of a lot of laws. I don't think that we need more laws to protect us. I think that we need less restriction. Because a felon isn't going to go to a gun store or to a gun show knowing that he has to do a background check, and he's going to stand in line waiting for the gun that he knows that he's not going to get. Not going to happen. And if anyone is selling a gun to a known criminal, or if anyone is giving somebody a gun knowing that they're going to commit a crime with it, that is actually, what's the word? Being an accomplice to the crime, whatever it is, robbery, murder, doesn't matter. You're an accomplice to the crime. So you can get, if you're an accomplice to murder, you get 15 to life, somewhere within whatever a judge feels is necessary. And to those of you who ask why you need one, I don't really need to give you a reason. I have the natural born right to defend myself with any means that I see necessary, up to and including the amount that the military has. Because I do eventually have the right to defend myself against them should they become tyrannical. Just like nobody asks you why you need an expensive sports car or why you need multiple cars. It's not something that I care about. And frankly, you shouldn't care about whether or not I have them either. I mean, if I have multiple guns, or if I have one gun, or if I have no guns, who cares? At the end of the day, I've got the natural born right to defend myself that way. You know, and the second that you start telling people and dictating what they can and cannot do, you also have to understand that you are now allowing other people to come into your life and tell you what you can and cannot do. And that in itself is just forcing this bondage on yourself, these chains. You don't really even know what real liberty is. And anyone who's getting offended by this conversation, I really couldn't care less. If you're uncomfortable, good, let's get uncomfortable. Let's actually talk about something that matters. Let's challenge your beliefs for a second. You know, I invite anybody who has any questions or any arguments or anything you want me to answer or respond to, just leave a comment down here below in the comment section. I'm sure I'll see it. I may not pick them all out. You know, never know how many people are going to view it. Who knows? Maybe 0 people will. Whatever. A second big and important issue I want to get to is abortion. I know a lot of people, woman's right to choose, right? Start limiting what people can and can't do, right? Going right back onto that. I do have one small little thing to just pinpoint in there. What about the right to life? Isn't that the first right that we have? We're not even giving these children a right to life. It's horrible. And even if you're for abortion, how could you be for what Planned Parenthood is doing, chopping up the babies and selling their pieces for profit? Especially in the gruesome way that they're doing it. They're actually evading and manipulating federal law in order to perform practices that are illegal. And that itself, to me, should warrant that they are defunded. And the funds will go to other women's programs. So it's not like you're going to be losing out that way. Plus, Obamacare is supposed to take care of most of it anyways. Planned Parenthood has just been one of the bigger providers. And unfortunately, they've engaged in something illegal. And I think that that's something that we can that I cannot stand for. I find it immoral. Even if you agree with abortion, which I don't, I find it immoral that we continue to fund something that not only goes against our own laws, but is such flagrant disregard for life in general. And I find that appalling. And then the third thing is economics. Like, nobody in this country is really well-versed in economics, as far as I can tell. I've talked to a lot of people, and even I don't know everything. But I do know one thing. Socialism, even democratic socialism, which was basically what Hitler's party was, the Workers' Party of Germany, you know, Nazis, they were democratic socialists. Just throwing that out there. Socialism, by definition, according to Marx and Lenin, both of them said it, is the precursor to communism. And we know what happens when communism happens. Marxism in general is an ideology, I'm sorry if I didn't enunciate that enslaves, it's greedy by nature, it destroys growth, it destroys opportunities, and it destroys your dreams. So all the people who think that the government's going to pay for everything, and college is going to be free, and Medicare is going to be great, and minimum wage is going to be $17 an hour, and everything's just going to be fine and dandy, and all is daisies, right? No. Who do you think pays for it? The government isn't an enterprise. Government doesn't sell anything. The government doesn't make money. They extort us for it. And originally, income taxes were illegal. Now, due to some loophole, they passed an amendment that the states didn't even ratify, and we're supposed to pay our taxes. So I pay my taxes every year, just like I'm supposed to. But I don't agree with it. And I definitely don't agree with having my taxes increased to pay for what other people are using. That's not a right. You don't have a right to an education. You don't have a right to health care. You don't have a right to anything that affects somebody else. That's not a natural born right. And anyone who's trying to bring up human rights is a little socialist. To be perfectly 100% completely honest, if I have to pay for something that you get, that's not a right. That's a privilege. And I shouldn't honestly be paying for your school, because that doesn't benefit me. I shouldn't be paying for your medical bills, because that doesn't benefit me. I shouldn't be having to do any of that. So unless I know you, I really am not comfortable with giving you money, because I don't know your lifestyle. I don't know if I agree with what you did or what you're doing to get there. You know, if I have to pay for it, I should have some say in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Incorporate yourself. I'll give you some donations, and then I'll be part of your board, and then we can make decisions together. I don't think you'd really like that, because you kind of like your freedom, right? My point is, I'm not going to make you do something you don't want to do. Don't make me do something I don't want to do. When it comes to guns, whether it comes to my money, I don't want to pay for someone else's college. I am working my ass off to pay for my own college right now. I didn't get grants. I didn't get scholarships. I didn't even get loans. I am sitting here working my ass off so that way I can build up a revenue stream, so I can put myself to college, so that way I can start my own business. I'm 23 years old. I haven't really done anything party-like or hanging out with my friends for a long time. I've been out on the road being a trucker. Look, you're in my truck right now. This is what I do when I'm on my off time. So, to all the people who think that socialism is this great life-saving thing and it's going to make the economy better, look how it ended in every single country it was ever implemented. That's including Greece right now. That's including what's going on in England. And then we look back and we go to the Nazi Party. We look back at what happened in Italy at the beginning of its term. We look back at Mao Zedong. We look back at USSR. We look back at Cambodia, Vietnam, North Korea. All of those places instituted federal-controlled money reserves, in which they told us how and when the money was going to be spent and what money they were going to take from us, because it was all theirs anyways. And if you raise the minimum wage to $15 or $17 or $22 or $22,000 an hour, just throwing it out there, federally across the board, for no matter what job you are, you automatically get that. You are decreasing the value of the dollar, and you're going to increase the margin
of your quality of life. So basically, you're making $8 an hour now. You go up to making $15 an hour. The value of the dollar is going to stay the same, but the price of everything around you is going to skyrocket exponentially. I can tell you this for a fact because I know that these trucking companies are going to try and keep at least a similar profit margin. So they're going to have to increase everything proportionally, which means they're going to increase based on the manufacturing costs of all the things before, which are going to go up because of the labor costs. Then their own labor cost is going to go up, plus all the different trades and services that go into maintaining vehicles and maintaining everything else is going to go up, which is going to force their prices up. And then that's going to force the people who do all the actual, you know, putting together, because you get the production that comes after growth. So you got your wood and all the different materials that are coming in. We ship it to the production ships it to the store, and then the store sells it to you. So that is 5 different levels of inflation going right into one product. It's going to skyrocket. It's the only way economically that makes sense. In fact, in Stalin's original plan for the destruction of America and the acceptance of communism worldwide, raise taxes, get rid of God, get rid of the right to defend yourself, get rid of the freedom of speech. Those 4 are probably the biggest things that you could do to really cripple an economy, to make the poor feel more empowered by taking down the rich, which then drives all of the people out of business. Because think about it, you tax corporations 90%. Who's going to want to become a corporation that makes money? Nobody. Because all their money's going to be gone. So then that drives down motivation. Now nobody wants to do that. Now who's going to hire you? The government, because they're going to be in control of everything, because that's the only sector left to have a job. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just go down to the bottom here and comment. If you like what you see, hit like. If you feel like you like it enough, please share it with your friends. Get the debate going. Let's get this thing out there. When people say that it makes them uncomfortable, maybe it's because they're not quite sure of their beliefs. So let's push this. Get a little uncomfortable. Get out there. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your friends. Talk about politics. Talk about your religion. Talk about what you believe. Put your beliefs on the line. Let's open up and engage in real local conversation about real problems in our communities to these really big issues. So that way we can take them out of the hands of the government, which is inept in everything that it's ever done. I mean, they set up a Social Security fund for us, and they keep stealing from it year after year after year after year. That's why there's no funds in there. So, let's open up a dialogue. Share this around. Let's get people talking. And not talking about what the news people say. We're not talking about what the politicians say. Let's talk about what we believe, or what we stand for, what we think. Open it up. Think for yourself. Go ahead, share it. See who's listening.